And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now pull up a chair and get comfortable, because today we are diving into a story that is a total disaster for Keir Starmer, a nightmare for the Conservative ghosts of Chancellors past, and a massive, shameless gaslighting session for you, the British public. We're talking about the triple lock, that golden political carrot that's been dangled in front of our seniors for years, while the rest of the country's engines start smoking and sputtering on the hard shoulder of reality. But I want to start with a question for you lot. Do you feel safer or better off than you did 6 months ago? I'm asking seriously, because the government and the mainstream media are telling us everything is fine, the adults are back in the room, and the economy is turning a corner. But we can see the chaos with our own eyes, can't we? We see the high streets dying, we see the bills soaring, and we see a political class that is utterly, hopelessly glitching out from reality. Drop a yes or no in the comments right now. Do you trust a single word coming out of Downing Street at the moment? Whether it's the red lot or the blue lot, do you believe they have a plan that doesn't involve raiding your back pocket to pay for their own incompetence? Get those comments in, because the establishment hates it when we actually start comparing notes. What we're looking at today is a mask-off moment from Sir Jeremy Hunt. Yes, the man who was holding the purse strings 5 minutes ago has suddenly found his backbone now that he's got a book to sell. It's glorious in its hypocrisy, it's shocking in its cynicism, and it is a direct insult to every hard-working taxpayer in this country who is trying to make sense of the math that just doesn't add up anymore. Before we look at Hunt's little confession, we need to understand the game. To do that, I need to be your political translator. In Westminster speak, the triple lock is treated like a holy relic. But what is it, really? It's a guarantee that the state pension rises every year by whichever is highest: inflation, average earnings growth, or 2.5%. Now, why does this matter to you sitting at home? Well, if we don't address this, there are 3 massive consequences. First, it kills the local economy. Every extra billion spent on an unfunded promise is a billion taken out of the productive economy, meaning fewer jobs on your high street. Second, it destroys social cohesion. It pits the young who can't afford a shed to live in against the old who are being told they're the only ones the state cares about. Third, it insults the taxpayer, specifically the British-born and bred worker who has paid into the system for 40 years, only to realise the pot is actually an empty drawer filled with IOU notes. The real reason politicians won't touch this isn't because they love pensioners, it's because they're terrified of the grey vote. They are treating our tax money like a blank cheque for their best mates and their own job security. They know the math is broken, but they'd rather let the ship sink in 10 years than lose an election in 2. It's the ultimate away with the fairies approach to governance. Think of it like this. The government is like a deadbeat roommate who has maxed out the communal credit card on luxury takeaway, and now they're asking you to pay the service charge while the fridge is empty. They call it fiscal responsibility. I call it a scam. Let me ask you this. Why is it that whenever the elite talk about difficult decisions, it's always your heating allowance or your kid's future on the chopping block, but never their own bloated NGO budgets or the billions sent overseas? Let me know what you think about that ripple effect in the comments. Are you seeing your local services gutted while the big ticket spending just keeps climbing? Let's get into this asset, because it's a masterclass in disconnected elite thinking. Sir Jeremy Hunt has a new book out called Can We Be Rich Again? The irony is enough to make you choke on your morning tea. In it, he says the triple lock is killing growth and it's unfair on future generations. Wait a minute, this is a total mask-off moment. Jeremy, mate, you were the Chancellor. You had the keys to the safe. If it's killing growth now, what was it doing when you were signing the checks? When a politician says something must go only after they leave office, it's a sign they think we're stupid. The consequence of this cowardice is threefold. First, the national debt balloons, which means your mortgage rates stay high because the government is borrowing like a drunk sailor. Second, public services like the NHS continue to crumble because the pension bill eats the budget alive. Third, the reality on the ground for young families becomes impossible as they are taxed to the hilt to fund a system that won't even exist by the time they retire. Look at the stats in this report. The OBR, those are the spreadsheets for brains in the Office for Budget Responsibility, warned that the state pension cost will rise from 5% of GDP to nearly 8 or even 9%. That is insane. That is the sound of a country going bankrupt in slow motion. The asset mentions the Juncker curse. Let me translate that jargon for you. Jean-Claude Juncker, the old EU boss, once said, We all know what to do, we just don't know how to get re-elected after we've done it. That is the most shameless confession of political rot I've ever heard. It means they know the building is on fire, but they won't trigger the alarm because they don't want to be blamed for the noise. And then we get to the benefits section. The asset notes that the wider benefit system positively incentivizes many people not to work. Now we're getting to the truth. We've got a system where hard-working taxpayers are subsidizing people to stay on the sofa. If we keep doing this, we see three things. First, a total drain on the public purse that could be going to actual infrastructure. Second, a cultural rot where work is no longer seen as the path to success. Third, an insult to the British-born and bred workers who get up at 5 a.m. every day just to see their earnings redistributed to people who have no intention of contributing. The asset even calls out Nigel Farage and Reform, saying even the insurgents won't touch the triple lock. I mean, look at this. How can any of them say they are straight talkers with a straight face when they won't look at the biggest bill on the table? Do they think we can't do basic addition? Let me know what you think about that specific point down below. Is there any politician you actually trust to tell the truth about the money, or are they all just protecting their own seats?
Here is the trigger analysis, the big picture that the woke media won't tell you. If we keep going down this road, where we prioritize political palatability over the actual survival of the economy, there won't be a country left for our grandkids. We are watching the managed decline of Great Britain by a class of people who have never had to worry about a heating bill in their lives. Look at other nations. Do you think a place like Dubai, or even parts of the US, would tolerate this level of stagnation? No other country would intentionally stifle its own growth to satisfy a Juncker curse. We are competing in a global market, and while we're arguing about how to slice a shrinking pie, the rest of the world is baking new ones. The woke media and the Labour lot will tell you that any talk of reforming pensions is cruel or an attack on the vulnerable. They'll use shameless gaslighting to make you feel like a bad person for wanting the math to work. But here's the truth they won't dismantle. It is far more cruel to lie to the public until the ATM stops giving out cash. It is cruel to tax a 22-year-old nurse into poverty to fund a system that will be insolvent before she's 40. This isn't about being mean to pensioners. My own parents rely on this. It's about the fact that the establishment has treated our national finances like a game of Monopoly. They are away with the fairies if they think this ends well without a serious, mask-off conversation about where the money is going. The final verdict is this. Jeremy Hunt's book is a confession of failure, and Keir Starmer's silence is a promise of more of the same. The triple lock is the perfect symbol of a political class that is divorced from reality. They'd rather watch the country burn than tell the silent majority the truth. I've given you the facts, now you give me your thoughts. Do we keep the lock and watch the debt explode, or do we finally demand some common sense from these lunatics in Westminster? Smash that like button, hit subscribe so we can keep fighting this gaslighting together, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp.